So this is the deck dinner for October 16, 2018, and I didn't actually sleep that well, but I'm going to have kale juice and carrot juice and then water and some tabbouleh. And anyway, I'll talk about that in a minute. This is actually, as high pigment as this is only maybe 60% kale juice, and James is 100%, but you can't tell the difference. I put some water in here to rinse out the sludge from the bottom of the juicer, and it's still really rich colored. Anyway, I have this cooler full of kale waiting to be juiced, which is awesome, and it can just stay right outside here because it'll be fine this week. You can store kale with, like, you can put some ice on the bottom and it'll be just fine. So I also have a workstation here, which I'm starting. Oh, this is just the kale. This is the only waste from the 27 stems of kale juice is the stems, and they get juice too, so they're not totally wasted. Most people would just pull them out and throw them in the compost without juicing them, so if you're making kale salad or whatever. So I'm actually getting more use out of them by juicing. And the rest of my kale, like the pulp from the leaves, is going to be used to make nuggets, so that'll be great. But anyway, my workstation is for the cannas, so I'm taking the soil off here. Well, it's peat mostly, and saving that, and then I'm letting it dry out as much as I can, and then I'll cut the tops off. I'll bring the cutting board out and I'll cut the tops off, and then I'll store those, and I'll show you that later. Anyway, because that's not important right now. I should get to drinking my juice, which I'm avoiding doing because I don't like to. Who likes kale, right? Nobody. Nobody likes it. But this gets it over with quickly, so let's just do that. Oh, carrot's so wonderful. So I have in my hand 5-HTP, a probiotic pill, omega-3, and vitamin D. Even though I will get some vitamin D from the sun today because I plan on being outside working, but as you see, I put my workstation in the shade. What I was thinking. It's plenty warm enough. I'll be getting some other things. I mean, I'll get some sun when I go out to get the cannas from the yard. Bring them back in. Anyway, and I do have some, like the oil from the omega-3 will help me absorb the carotenoids from the kale and the carrot. And then I have some extra virgin olive oil, cold pressed, on my tabbouleh, so that'll help too. The kale has, per 1 cup, and that's way more than a cup. That's about 6.5 cups when I make a full cup of kale juice. Well, it depends. If my kale isn't fresh, then it would take more kale to make that. If it's fresh, then it's 6.5 cups. Anyway, so 1 cup of kale gives me 23,720 micrograms of lutein and zeaxanthin, which I don't know how to pronounce that, but it doesn't give that much of beta carotene. Well, it's still a lot, but not like, it's 10,625 micrograms. And whereas the carrots give 7,391 micrograms of beta carotene and 3,606 of alpha carotene. That's micrograms. Whereas the kale has none. It has 0 alpha carotene. So, and the carrot also has 100 micrograms of beta-cryptoxanthin, which that's not that much. It's more than the kale, which has 0. But if I wanted to get more of that, I'd be better off sucking back some papaya, because that would give me 2,390 micrograms as opposed to 100, which is, yeah. So anyway, that information is from page 740 of The World's Healthiest Foods by George Mettlejohn. So if you want to look that up. I had put that book on hold from, it came in through TAL all the way from Vancouver for me this summer, and I really enjoyed reading it. I love having carrot for when, well, it's just good anytime. Probably have orange smile now. But I love having carrot when I'm feeling a little bit tired. So if, say by noon, and I've only had 6 hours, 20 minutes sleep last night, and it was broken, I ended up taking a leave, and eventually that helped. So I did manage to get some sleep, but I mean, I was doing yard work yesterday, which I'm very happy for how much I got done. I was feeling good, really good to begin with. I got loads of stuff done. But I had to switch it up, like do a little bit of one thing and a little of another. But it still, I still ended up needing to leave. So anyway, but the carrot juice really perks you up like crazy. Just, you suck this back and it's like your eyes just pop open like a cartoon character or something. So we just finished watching this. Well, I was busy in the kitchen, so I didn't see all too much of it. But very good movie from what I saw. I got it out for James because he's into tennis. And Borg versus McEnroe, and there's some subtitles here. It's, some of it's in English, and but not all of it is, right? So there are some subtitles. If you're really freaked out about subtitles, then there's not that much. It's still worth watching. But anyway, I think this is more of a, you know, as James was like, Borg was the best ever of all time. And you know, I guess he gave it up young. Once he lost, he couldn't get back into the groove of it or whatever. I don't know. But it's just mostly, this movie is interesting to watch just as a kind of psychological study or whatever. Awesome. You know, at first, like, you look at these two people and they seem like polar opposites, right? He seems so controlled of his own emotions, and he's controlling of everyone and everything around him, really. And he's just out of control all the time. But really, they seem to have the same sort of personality. He's just managed to hold it in, and he can't, right? So, or he hasn't bothered to, probably more. Different culture, you know. Yummy carrot. Okay, so this one was Fahrenheit 451, and it was from 1966, I think it said. Yep. So, it was from a Ray Bradbury novel, and honestly, it was kind of, I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, it's kind of silly, you know, like a flamethrower to burn a campfire pit worth of books is really overkill. And the whole going into, oh, we burn these authors on one day and these another, it's ridiculous. It's stupid. Anyway, but that's you really for science fiction. It's important to remember not to get lost in the details of what makes it unbelievable or whatever, and remember, oh, they're trying to make some sort of usually with science fiction, they're trying to make a point on about current society or whatever, you know, by showing an alternate reality. They're trying anyway. So and and I get it. So I don't I anyway. I often think about how much information has been lost over time, you know, like how much um, the Greeks would have had in their library. And then it's gone, and who would remember it? I mean, nobody in this movie. There's people who, like, one person will memorize an entire book, and that's just not realistic. You know, and they were showing it as like memorizing works of fiction, and it's like James has an amazing memory, and he does remember a few poems. He has memorized them off by heart, and he probably has known them for a long time. Or bits of the Bible, you know, he'll remember things like that. But I mean, an entire novel or whatever, that's possibly. And if you don't remember how everything is laid out, you lose the art of it. I mean, you could memorize, like, oh, if little bits or something like that are really important to you, but I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, it's I often think about that with the Greeks though, and other, you know, it's even within different cultures, if leadership or the social structure changes or whatever, then how much is lost. And if it's not really kept safe, then it's gone forever. Like, I think about that with the internet today, actually. How people don't want to have libraries of books. I was noticing it when they were getting rid of encyclopedias. It was just all of a sudden you saw encyclopedias at the thrift store and they couldn't get rid of them. And then now they don't even have them. They don't even carry them at the thrift store because they know they can't get rid of them. So it's they're just dumpster fodder. And so people are just relying on Wikipedia or whatever, and that information, it may not be accessible in 5 years or 1 year. It might entirely change, and who would know? It isn't, if you don't have it recorded or you haven't printed out a page to refer to and go, whoa, wait a minute, all of this information is backwards now, you won't remember. I should be rinsing out the kale one. Normally I don't drink these. The carotenoids together. I didn't realize cayenne pepper had carotenoids in it. Quite a lot, really. But, I mean, how much cayenne are you going to eat? James is coming out now. I don't even know if the camera's still rolling. Half the time I don't even know if I remember to put it on. Hello,
That's
my darling.
nice on you.
Uh-huh. Alright, I spilled that a bit. Sorry. Yeah. Now you're ready.
So I fell asleep. So I got a drink and dash.
So had you seen this Fahrenheit 451 when you were young?
No.
Oh.
I didn't even read it when I was young.
Oh, okay. Well,
So
I wouldn't
I
expect
read it in German actually.
Oh,
Translated it in German. That was just recently. Anyway, I got to be going. That was a pretty good Borg versus McEnroe thing, I thought. You know, well, you seem to be semi-interested, which is freaking amazing. Right? I figured it was a Swedish production.
So yeah, I honestly, I think it stands just as a movie.
Absolutely
Yeah.
right. I mean, you get these temperaments. They really are different temperaments, because believe me, people would have been trying to settle McEnroe down, and there was no settling him down. Anyone like Federer is a pretty level head, but apparently he'd blow a stat when he was playing tennis when he was younger too. One of the things is when you're younger, 15 to 25, you're a boy, right? Those tend to be the most violent people in our society, and they settle down. So McEnroe then really did settle down a bit. Bjork settled down early, and I think it cost McEnroe in his career. Anyway, I got to be going. Thanks for this sort of stuff. Gives me a lot of energy. That was something Marco would do, eh? Anyway.
I don't know. I just hang around children.
I know.
Grown-up children. Those are all my friends.
Yeah, have fun.
Well, you always keep me having fun.
Yeah.
I read that this is a way to eat less food, is to actually hold the bowl. And you're supposed to use a bowl to eat with a wide rim so that it's heavier in your hand, and then you'll eat less. I don't know. I'm really not that worried about eating less or more or whatever. I just like to make sure I knock that back. And if I do that, I feel great, because that's some work. All under my fingernails are really green from the pulp.